So let's go ahead and take a look at these practice problems when it comes to comparative and absolute advantage and solving for that opportunity cost, right? So let's go ahead and start with this first example when we're talking about two different furniture companies, Rockin' Chairs and the Ottoman Empire, which you can't deny those are awesome names for furniture companies. But they're producing either sofas or chairs. Those are the two things that they're focusing on. Rockin' Chairs, if they put all their focus and all their attention on sofas, could produce 45 sofas. All their attention on chairs, 135 chairs. The Ottoman Empire, if they put all their attention on sofas, they could produce 40 of those. If they put all their attention on chairs, they could produce 160. Awesome. So let's start here. Who has the absolute advantage in the production of sofas? Who can produce more sofas? So if we just look here at sofas, who is able to produce more? Well, looking at that, 45 is greater than 40, so we know that it would be Rockin' Chairs, right? Perfect. Now, how about who has the absolute advantage in the production of chairs? If we look at these, we see that 135 is less than 160. Therefore, the Ottoman Empire is able to produce more chairs, and therefore they have the absolute advantage. And while we said absolute advantage is great, we also did say that absolute advantage is not the end-all be-all. What we need to be focusing in on is the comparative advantage. Who has the comparative advantage in these things? So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out this little chart in the middle, and this is what it looks like in your practice problems in your guide as well. Who has the lower opportunity cost for the production of one sofa? And so what we need to do for this is we need to figure out, okay, who can produce one sofa and give up fewer chairs in the process. So let's start with Rockin' Chairs, right? We're going to set these things equivalent. So they can produce either 45 sofas, and that takes the same resources as producing 135 chairs. Now we want to get this to just say one sofa. What is their opportunity cost for just one sofa? If they just wanted to produce one more sofa, what's that equivalent to? Or how many chairs would they have to give up? What we do is we divide both sides by 45, divide that side by 45. 135 divided by 45 is 3 chairs. And so what we notice there is that the opportunity cost for Rockin' Chairs for one sofa is 3 chairs. All right. Now, we also have to do that with Ottoman Empire. So we're going to set 40 sofas equivalent to 160 chairs. But we want to get this to just say one sofa, right? So what do we divide both sides by? Well, we divide that by 40. We divide that by 40 because that gets this to just say one sofa. 160 over 40. Oops, my bad. Not 40 chairs. It ends up being 4 chairs. Boom. Awesome. So we can look at this and we can say, all right, when it comes to producing sofas, who has the comparative advantage in sofas? Who can produce one sofa and give up fewer chairs in the process? Well, 3 is less than 4. Therefore, Rockin' Chairs has the comparative advantage in producing sofas, right? They can produce a sofa and give up fewer chairs in the process. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the production of chairs, right? So when it comes to chairs, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to set up here, we're going to set 135 chairs equivalent to 45 sofas. And if we want this just to say one chair in the end, what do we divide both sides by? We divide each side by 135. 45 over 135 is 1/3 of a sofa. So we write 1/3 of a sofa. That's Rockin' Chairs opportunity cost. For every one chair they want to produce, they would have to give up or stop producing 1/3 of a sofa. All right, what about the Ottoman Empire? Well, for the Ottoman Empire, we know that 160 chairs is equivalent to 40 sofas. We want to get this down to just say one chair. How do we do that? Well, we divide both sides by 160. Because by dividing both sides by 160, those cancel. We get one chair. 40 divided by 160 is 1/4 of a sofa. All right. Now, these are in fraction form, but I think you guys still can figure this out. Who can produce one chair and give up fewer sofas in the process, or stop producing fewer sofas? Well, if you guys notice that 1/4 of a sofa is less than 1/3, so therefore it is the Ottoman Empire. Awesome. Great. All right. Let's do one more example of this together. There's one that is on the backside of this here, and I will leave that to you. I'll give you the opportunity to work through that on your own, and you can check out the solutions for that. But let's say we have two artists. Let's say they're making either bowls or plates. They're throwing some clay on their pottery wheel. They're making either bowls or plates, and we have Molly and Eric. And let's say when it comes to making bowls, Molly can produce 50 bowls. If she put all of her attention on bowls, Eric could produce 60 bowls. So who has the absolute advantage in the production of bowls? Well, again, 60 is larger than 50. Eric is the one that has the absolute advantage. What about plates? Who can produce more plates if they only focused on plates? Well, again, 45 is greater than 40. It is Eric. Now, I made note of this in your video, but one thing I want you to see is that it is possible for someone to have the absolute advantage in both things. We saw that with the car washing example, and we're seeing this here. That is possible. However, that is not possible. It is not possible when it comes to comparative advantage, and we'll see that again here in a second. So let's work from there. We want to understand who has the comparative advantage in the production of plates, who has the comparative advantage in the production of bowls, and we're going to do that by solving for their opportunity costs. So let's start with the production of bowls. For Molly, we want to understand, just for Molly, looking here, right? We want to understand what she would have to give up in order to produce one or the other. So we know that Molly, if she put all of her attention on bowls, could produce 50 bowls, or she could produce 40 plates. But maybe she splits her time between those two things. But we want to understand, in order to produce just one more bowl, how many plates would she have to stop producing? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 50, because those would cancel, giving us one bowl. 40 divided by 50 would get us 4/5 of a plate, right? So 4/5 of a plate there for Molly. But let's go ahead and do the same thing for Eric, right? So for Eric, we want to focus here on all of his production. And we know that Eric could produce either 60 bowls or Eric could produce 45 plates. But we want to know, what about just for one bowl? If he just wanted to start producing one more bowl, he would have to give up producing how many plates? Well, we divide both sides here by 60, because those would cancel, giving us one bowl. We divide this side by 60, 45 over 60. That simplifies down into 3/4 of a plate. Now again, this one's a little tough to look at with fractions, but if we look at it when it comes to decimals, what we see is that 4/5 is 0.8, 3/4 is 0.75, and that makes it a little bit more clear. We notice that Eric, right here, can produce one bowl and give up fewer plates in the process. Therefore, he has the comparative advantage because he has a lower opportunity cost. However, let's take a look, lastly, at the opportunity cost for the production of plates. So we want to know, for Molly, if Molly just wanted to produce one more plate, how many bowls would she have to give up in the process? So we're going to set the 40 plates equivalent to 50 bowls. And we want to know just one plate. Well, I think you guys have figured this out by now. We want to simplify this, so we would divide both sides by 40 so that those cancel, giving us one plate. Divide this side by 40, and we get 5/4 of a bowl. So we have 5/4 right here for Molly, and then we're going to do the exact same thing for Eric. We're going to take Eric's production, and we're going to say, okay, Eric could produce 45 plates, which is equivalent to the production of 60 bowls for him. And we want to know, how about just one plate? Well, again, divide both sides by 45, and those cancel. Divide this side by 45, and we simplify it down, and we get 4/3 of a bowl. So we have 4/3 right here. Again, if you guys notice, these are just reciprocals from one another. 4/5, 5/4, 3/4, 4/3. Awesome. Again, I think this one will help us a little bit better if we simplify this into a decimal form. I like doing the fractions just because it's either easier to see those reciprocals. But we know 5/4 is 1.25. We know that 4/3 is 1.3 repeating. Who can produce one plate and give up fewer bowls in the process? Well, guys, 1.25 is less than 1.33. Therefore, Molly has the comparative advantage in the production of plates because she can produce a plate and give up fewer bowls in the process. So suppose they were to go into business together, what they would do is they would have Molly just focus on producing bowls because focus on producing plates because she's comparatively better at producing plates. Eric would focus on making bowls because he is comparatively better at producing bowls.